having thousands of ICE agents descend on our cities, using brutal force to hunt, harass, and harm those in our communities. Whether intended or not, U.S. citizens and their businesses and property.
Your fake agenda to destroy our country related to terrorism. I will not yield to you on this subject, period.
Well,
it's offensive if you can't tell.
Thank you.
Silence, the time is mine.
The time belongs to the judge. Order.
Maxine Waters went all in, accusing ICE agents of brutalizing communities, destroying property, terrorizing citizens, and acting like some rogue force inside America. She didn't just criticize policy. She questioned the legitimacy of enforcement itself. That's a massive line to cross. But then Warren Davidson stepped up and called out the distractions. He called out the exaggerations, and he brought it back to basics. ICE is enforcing laws that already exist. You don't get to ignore border enforcement for years, allow chaos to build, and then act outraged when agents finally do their jobs. Davidson tore the argument apart. Wrong venue, wrong framing, wrong facts. While one side pushed fear and Civil War language, the other side pushed law, jurisdiction, and accountability. That contrast is everything. If you want to see the full exchange and hear the complete breakdown, hit like, subscribe, and stay right here because the rest of this clip gets even more intense.
Shop holders and small business owners who are American citizens are caught in the middle of the reckless and inappropriate responses of ill-trained ICE agents, only to be left with broken windows and damaged storefronts to repair. Who pays for this? Workers and families, also U.S. citizens, drive home at the end of the day only to be snatched out of their cars by masked men with tactical gear and wind up with their windows smashed in. Who pays for this? This Sunday in St. Paul, Minnesota, over a dozen ICE agents broke down the front door of a napping U.S. citizen. They forced and trampled their way into his home, pointing their guns and yelling at his family, while this 4-year-old grandson cried. Republicans on the opposite side of the aisle, you can do better than this. You can stand up for Ms. Good, who was killed, the mother of 3, a citizen, other American citizens, people who look like they think should be deported, people of color, American citizens who are brown, who are yellow, who are black, et cetera, stand up for the citizens of this country. Otherwise, you're going to see a civil war that is being created between ICE and the National Guard.
The amount of red herrings and false stuff that's being spewed for the premises behind this amendment is offensive. To tell the American people and us in this room that ICE is a terrorist organization and therefore TRIA should cover the losses? Are you freaking kidding me? If you look at the proximate cause, you talk about the laws not being followed. The previous administration fueled an invasion of our country by failing to secure our borders, by ignoring our laws, and now we have sanctuary cities who invited these people in, who served as accomplices to the crime, continuing to obstruct justice. The reality is Alejandro Mayorkas and all of his accomplices should be on trial today. And if we don't put them in jail for a really long time after due process and a trial, some future administration is going to think they can fuel an invasion, only we need to do more of it faster. Now you get mad because ICE is enforcing the laws that the previous administration failed to enforce and want the government to cover for your game. The invasion you're fueling of our country, it's treason. It's treason. And it's a complete waste of this committee's time to even bring it up, to try to grandstand over your fake agenda to destroy our country
Well, the gentleman
related to
yield.
terrorism. I will not yield to you on this subject, period.
Well, thank
It's
you for being
offensive
such-
if you
thank you
can't
for being
tell.
A gentleman. Thank you for being a
Silence, the
gentleman.
time is mine.
Thank you for
Time
being a
belongs to the
gentleman.
judge.
Care whose time it is.
The tenor order,
Remember
lady-
January 6th,
ladies,
that's what you remember.
ladies and gentlemen, the time belongs to the gentleman from Ohio.
TRIA is a program that I support. Every contract I've entered into has a force majeure clause. And there are acts that are unanticipated, that are hard to insure the risk for. I don't think the program's perfectly designed. I wish I was here for the debate. Mr. Rose presented his amendment. I don't think I agree with the points. But I do think, hey, we probably don't have a perfect terrorism risk insurance program. But I applaud Mr. Flood, Mr. Cleaver for working together on a reauthorization. That's what we should be focused on today. The idea that we would defund ICE is probably about as dumb as defunding the police. But Minneapolis wanted to do both. And so, yes, I hope those people are held accountable. But the Financial Services Committee is not the committee of jurisdiction for that. So if you want to do that, go to one of the other committees, do your grandstanding somewhere else, and quit wasting.
Let's slow it down and unpack what actually happened. What you just watched wasn't just a heated exchange. It was two completely different worldviews colliding in real time. Maxine Waters framed ICE enforcement as something close to state-sponsored terror. She described broken storefronts, families frightened by raids, citizens allegedly caught in the crossfire, and even suggested rhetoric that implied ICE should be treated like a terrorist force. She warned about civil unrest. She escalated the language to the highest possible level. That framing is powerful because it shifts the debate away from policy and into morality. If ICE is terror, then enforcement itself becomes illegitimate. But then came Warren Davidson, and instead of engaging emotionally, he attacked the foundation of the argument. First, he rejected the premise outright. ICE is not a rogue organization. It is a federal agency enforcing immigration laws passed by Congress. You may not like the laws, but they exist. And enforcement didn't suddenly appear out of nowhere. It followed years of what many Republicans argue was deliberate non-enforcement at the border. Second, he pointed out something procedural but critical. This wasn't even the right committee for that fight. The hearing was about terrorism risk insurance. Labeling ICE a terrorist organization in that setting wasn't oversight, it was political theater in the wrong jurisdiction. Third, he flipped the accountability argument. Instead of blaming agents enforcing the law, he argued responsibility lies with leadership decisions that allowed the border crisis to spiral in the first place. So the real divide wasn't about windows or rhetoric. It was about legitimacy. That's why this exchange matters. Because when elected officials start using words like terrorism and civil war to describe federal agencies doing their jobs, we're no longer just debating policy. We're debating whether the rule of law itself is acceptable.